I have driven Interstate 90 hundreds of times. Chicago to Seattle, 1,800 miles. I did it for work. Long haul, solo. I knew every rest stop, every mile marker, every stretch of empty road. I thought I knew what lonely felt like on that highway. I had no idea. It was November 3rd, 2021. I left Chicago at 10 p.m. Wanted to make Rapid City by morning. South Dakota. 8 hours of driving. Mostly empty highway. Flat land. Dark sky. Nothing unusual about that route. I had done it 20 times before. By midnight, I was deep into Wisconsin. No other cars for miles. Just my headlights cutting through the dark. Radio was on low. Coffee in the cup holder. Cruise control set. Everything was normal. Until mile marker 214. There was someone standing in the middle of the highway. Not on the shoulder. Not near the guardrail. In the middle lane. Standing completely still. Facing my headlights. I hit the brakes hard. Swerved into the left lane. Missed them by maybe 6 feet. Heart absolutely pounding. I looked in my rearview mirror immediately. The road behind me was empty. No one there. No figure. No shadow. Nothing. I pulled onto the shoulder and stopped, hands shaking on the steering wheel. I sat there for 2 full minutes, staring into my mirrors, staring at the empty road behind me. I told myself it was fatigue. 800 miles of driving will do that. Shadows play tricks. Eyes get heavy. It was nothing. I pulled back onto the highway and kept driving. 15 minutes later, mile marker 229. There they were again. Same figure, same middle lane, same position, standing completely still, facing my headlights. I swerved again, barely missed them. Checked my mirror immediately. Empty road, gone again. I pulled over a second time. This time I got out of the car, stood on the highway shoulder in the freezing November air, and looked back down the road. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just empty highway stretching back into darkness. I got back in the car, locked the doors, turned the radio up, and kept driving. Fast this time. For the next hour, nothing happened. No figure, no shadows, no movement. I started to relax, started to believe it really was just exhaustion. I was somewhere in Minnesota now, flat, dark land on both sides. Not a single light anywhere. 2:17 a.m. I reached for my coffee and glanced in my rearview mirror. Someone was sitting in my back seat. I am not exaggerating when I say, every muscle in my body froze. I could not breathe. I could not speak. I could not move. The figure in the back seat was sitting perfectly still, head down, hands on their knees, dark clothing, hood up, not moving, not speaking, just sitting there. I grabbed the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I was doing 70 miles an hour on an empty highway, in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, with someone in my back seat. I did the only thing I could think of. I kept driving, eyes forward, hands on the wheel, and I said, in the steadiest voice I could manage, "Who are you?" Nothing, no response, no movement. I checked the mirror again, still there, head still down, perfectly still. I saw a highway exit sign ahead, junction 112, rest area, half a mile. I put on my indicator, took the exit, pulled into the rest area parking lot. Bright overhead lights, 2 other trucks parked far away. I stopped the car, left the engine running, and slowly turned around to look at the back seat. Empty, completely empty. No one there. No sign anyone had ever been there. I sat in that rest area for 45 minutes, shaking, unable to move. I called my wife, told her everything. She told me to stop driving, get a motel, sleep. I agreed. I found a motel 12 miles away, checked in at 3 a.m., locked the door, checked the bathroom, checked the closet, got into bed with every light on, and stared at the ceiling until morning. The next day I called the Wisconsin State Police, reported what I had seen at mile markers 214 and 229. The officer on the phone went very quiet when I mentioned those mile markers. Then he asked, "Sir, what time did you pass mile marker 214? I told him, "Around 12:30 a.m. Another long silence. Then he said, "We have had 17 reports of a figure on the highway between mile markers 210 and 230. 17 reports. Over the past 8 months, always between midnight and 3 a.m. Always the same stretch of road. Always the same description. Figure in the middle lane, standing still, facing oncoming headlights." I asked if they had ever found anyone. He said, "No, but 2 drivers who reported the figure were found the next morning, parked on the shoulder near mile marker 220, engines running, both drivers unconscious in their seats. No injuries, no signs of accident. Neither one could remember stopping. I never drove Interstate 90 at night again. I changed my route, changed my schedule, started driving only during daylight hours. My company thought I was being irrational. I didn't care. What I saw that night on the highway, I cannot explain. Not the figure on the road, not how it disappeared both times, and not how it ended up in my back seat while I was doing 70 miles an hour on a locked highway in the middle of the night. But here's what I keep coming back to. When I checked into that motel at 3 a.m., I took my bag from the back seat and noticed something I had not seen before. On the seat where the figure had been sitting, there were muddy footprints, not from shoes, bare feet, pressed into the fabric of my back seat, like someone had been sitting there for a very long time. If you ever drive Interstate 90 at night and you see someone standing in the road, do not stop. Do not get out of the car. And whatever you do not look in your rearview mirror, because some things on that highway are not trying to get hit. They are trying to get in. Sleep well. And if stories like this keep you up at night, you are not alone.
Subscribe for more horror stories. Every week, new story, new nightmare. See you in the dark.